But even though for something of this particular vintage, it is very, very clean. Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies, and I'm going to be looking at the brand new kit of the Fiat Abarth 131 Rally. Now, it's not really a new kit. It has been around before, but this is a what's the word I'm looking for? Re-release of an earlier kit. And as such, they've changed a little bit. It's got a different livery. So the colors are a bit different from the original release. Now the Fiat 131 Rally version was first released in 1976. So it was based on the very popular 131, very simple road car. And what they did was they sent it over to Bertone, and they did some work on the body work. So plastic fenders, plastic bonnet and such. And then it went over to Abarth, and Abarth put in the rest of the gear. So I think it was a different engine and suspension package, particularly the rear end, which had a independent suspension put into it. Now, being an earlier kit, this was before cars started getting, I guess, standardized in 1/24 scale. So this one's actually in a bigger 1/20 scale. And once I open it up, you'll see the difference in overall size and how this ends up being quite a nice kit, for even though it's an early kit. So let's have a closer look. So let's open it up. Now the box art there, you'll see that the colors are for the Olio Fiat, which was Fiat's own brand of oil at the time. And this is the livery it came out on its first rally, where it finished 12th. But on its second rally, I think that was at 1,000 Lakes, it actually finished first. And then as they continued rallying this particular car, in 1980 they actually won the World Championships with Walter Roll, and that was with the car with the Italia colour scheme. But all in all, the car was basically the same. I think they managed to change the engine a little bit, get some fuel injection into it and gain some more power. But after a few years, it evolved into a World Championship machine. So let's have a look on the inside. Now, if I pull out the body, immediately this gives you a good idea on the size. Now, a 24 scale one would be about this big. So you've got a really good size model. They've managed to have the bonnet separate because there's engine detail. The boot is separate because there's boot detail as well. And there's a full interior as well with drivers. So let's see here, we'll just have a closer look. So compared to today's terms, probably some of the details are not as sharp as we would expect. But even though for something of this particular vintage, it is very, very clean. So you've got a really nicely polished exterior. So when you paint it, it will give you a really nice gloss. And then even for an old kit, you notice there's no flash, super clean. And that's part of the genius of Tamiya. And over here you can greatly see the plastic arches that were added to it. I mean, they're really fat, give it a really wide track. Okay, let's pop that over here. I have a feeling that Bertone actually made the 2-door system as well on this. All right, so got here, this is the four pan. Okay, so at the front, it says open here for the engine to drop in. At the back, the boot will show the spare tire. And you've got the pickup points here for the shocks. And then underneath, you have all the detail of the tanks. You've got the pickup points for the suspension, the pressing here for the spare tire, and then the other points here for the shocks and the rest of the suspension. All right, from there you've got the tires. So this has got the asymmetrical racing tires on it. Asymmetrical being they're not even tread on each side. So inside outside tread is different. So rubber, like standard from Tamiya, and they'll fit onto some molded wheels. You've got some piping in here for detail within the engine, a little bit of plumbing work. There's a steering rod, some screws. Actually not screws, I'll be just rotating pins for the steering, and then springs for the shocks. And there's poly caps. They're used in the wheels so that the wheels can rotate once they've been pressed on. We'll get the chrome parts. Now these chrome parts are probably cleaner than they were originally because chroming in the early days was really rough and really thick. This is a really nice satin finish. So you've got the light reflectors, then also the mag wheels. Over here on the inside you can see where the polycaps go so that they can still rotate. Really nice finish. Alright, we get on to the clear parts. Clear parts might be a bit hard to see, but you have the front windshield and the side windows all molded in one. That's very handy because it makes the alignment of it very easy. Most modern kits have all these separate. You've got the lenses here for lights. Okay, so you got fog lights and then also headlights all the way along here. And then there's also the tail lights and fog lamps there. And then the rear windshields, just that point there. They've been polished really well, very, very clear. All right, this section here is quite interesting. So you've got the boot section. Okay, so the boot's got the little ducktail wing on it. There's a little wing that's mounted up above the C-pillars on the roof. You've got the bonnet here with the big intake. And then you've got two drivers. You can see the size of the drivers in 1/20 scale. So you've got the driver and the co-pilot. Then over here we've got, what do we have there? That looks like the rear panel. So there's a Fiat marked here. So this is where the rear lights are. You get your brake lights there. There looks like some, they're probably light covers maybe, as an option. And you've got the hinges here for the bonnet, so you can easily lift up and down. Okay. Now we'll move into this. So this bag actually has two sprue in it. Now all black and has all the mechanical parts. You've got the driver's seat and the co-pilot seat. You've got the instrument panel, all the suspension components, as you can see here. There's a fuel tank. You've got the size of the engine block. Got the heads here, and you can see the Abarth written on the heads. You've got the cam, belt covers, and then you've got the gearbox, sump, and the exhaust system just along the side here. Roll cage is just molded around this section. You can see multiple pieces here. And you've got these big chunky drive shafts. Just spin it over. Here you see the interior panels, so the door panels. This one here you can see a little bag for the driver. Actually that's for the co-driver. Probably puts his lunch in there. Got the big steering wheel, disc brakes. So disc brakes actually look really tiny for a high performance car. You've got the grille here with the Fiat molded in there as well. And then you've got your shocks. There's a steering. This will be the steering arms because you've got the pin down the bottom, so they're functional. Spare tyre here with the branding already molded in. And then you've got there's the cam belts there, going up to the cam there. Probably carburetor trumpets maybe, because the first ones did come with carburetors. Rear vision mirrors. And there's your the steering column. Actually, drive shaft. That may be the drive shaft actually, it's a bit chunky. So really very nice. A lot of parts and a big kit. Okay, so other improvements. So this one comes with some mask. You just need to cut out the masks and apply them, so that it helps you mask up the bodywork. Bodywork can be a bit tricky. There's a section of wire here, so that'll be for the antenna that you can see just up the top here. Nice touch being metal. And then underneath there's all the decals as well. The decal sheet all sealed up inside. Okay, then you get into the manual. Okay, so here we've got a guide. So this works for all models. They give you an idea of what tools you use, how to clean parts up, how to use your pin vise and such. how to glue clear parts, and then how to paint details. And the best way to spray from a can, hold 15 to 20 centimeters away. So you get that in most of the new kits now, and then you get up to the specific instructions. Okay, so the instructions are very, very high quality. They've been modernized. This section always has a history of the actual model, multiple languages. And then as we open up, let's get into here. So we have the traditional list of paints. They're all with the Tamiya codes. Recommended tools. And then you start with step one. So step one is building the engine. You see the multiple pieces to make the engine block. Over here we've got the sump getting put together. You've got all the belts. Got some of the hosing here going on. So you can see those being fitted into this component. Over here you've got the carburetors. These are the trumpets going into the block. And then you've got the gearbox getting made here. Go to step 5. So the gearbox is going onto the engine. You've got the extractors. There's the spark plug cables getting fit onto the engine head, just there. And then you start on the interior. So that's the floor pan. You've got the tank going in, the rear bulkhead, got the battery. Not too sure what those bits are. And then the spare tire goes into the well. Over here is a preparation for the engine bay. So you've got some covers for components. They're in there, and then suspension starts getting put together. So this is a front suspension. There's the springs, so they're a nice touch. So there's actually real springs that go over the shocks. You've got the disc brakes, and then they get mounted here with the control arms. There's the control rod there for the steering. Anti-roll bar. Okay, and then the engine goes in. So engine's dropped in. Start in the center of the floor pan now. So there's the big drive shaft going to the rear diff. You've got the exhaust fitted, and then the rear suspension. So that's the modified independent suspension that was fit on the rally car. These are the rubber tires going on the wheels with the polycap going in. You have the radiator with the fan. That's all fitted up, and then the hosing is connected up to the engine. You got your mud flaps. All the wheels are pressed on, and then the interior. So we've got the kick plates. You got your pedals. That's a footrest, and then you've got your handbrake and your gear shift, fire extinguishers, and then the dashboard. So you've got dashboard there, and there's quite a few decals that go there. So you can see with these marks, that's indicating the decals are sliding on. You've got your driver and the co-pilot being built here and painted up, and then they're dropped in to the center, so you can see they're going in their seats. And then the instrument panel goes on top to seal them up. And then you've got the roll cage. So roll cage goes together. You got the holder there, which takes the helmets, drops in, and then you start work on the body. So here you're spraying the base coat, and then this is where you start masking. So there's specific masks, so they're numbered. So they're the masks that I showed just here before. And they're to help you to get the differentiation in these colors along these difficult parts. And then across the roof needs to be fully masked up. So you need some mask tape, and you spray your second color. So here you can see the different tones, so you can get an idea of what's meant to be which color. So you get your main body, you got your boot lid, you got your front end with the air dam. And then we move on to, here's the rear end before with the tail lights. So that's a separate component with the registration plate. That big piece of glass goes in, and then you have the boot with the hinges, and that's sealed in with this rear parcel shelf. And then you have the rear window going in with the side trims. And then the body is getting fitted onto the floor pan. So it is quite traditional with Tamiya. So it's designed to bend to fit into two locating recesses at the front and the back. And that helps it go together without any glue as well. So it keeps it nice and neat. Over here you've got finishing touches for the engine bay. So you've got the strut brace. There's that wing that goes on the top of the C-pillar. And then we do the final glazing with the lights. So you've got all the lenses going into the reflectors. So you've got the main headlights and then also the fog lights. Then you've got the indicators and other foggies. The side panel here, door handle, rear vision mirrors. And then finally you finish up with the bonnet. So the bonnet also has these hinges that hooks in, and then you got your front grille that drops in. Of course you need your windshield wipers, and then there's that section of metal rod for the antenna. They just got to cut it to that exact length there. That's 40 mil. Okay, and then you come up to the end part, which is finishing off all the decals. So all the numbers and all the sponsorship. And over here, so you've got the front view, rear view, top view. Side views were on the other side. And that is the end of the Tamiya 1/20th scale Fiat 131 Abarth Rally. That was debuted in 1976 and then won its World Championship in 1980.